Ladies and gentlemen, wow. Just wow. That's where I'm at with this election and some of the stuff that's going on with ballots. And we're going to go into that today, but you know the deal. If you like what I had to say, like, subscribe, please share with your friends. The channel's growing actually faster than I thought it would, but the more you share it with your friends and they watch and they can give me their comments on what they think about what I'm saying, or if you disagree with it, hit dislike and tell me what you disagree with. Moving forward, just wow, I'll go back to that. I have been alive for 12 presidential election cycles. So if you extrapolate that to include midterms, that's 24 regular election cycles in my life. And as somebody who's been interested in politics most of my life, I've never seen anything like this. Up to this point, the largest number of votes found during a recount was in 2000, and it ended up in the Bush v. Gore Supreme Court decision, which we're going to go into later because it could play a part in what's going on in some of these states. But let's start off with Georgia. Wow, just wow. They found thousands of votes between 3 counties alone. And those votes are slimming down Joe Biden's lead to President Donald Trump, or over President Donald Trump. So, no, I'm not going to get into talking about conspiracies. We'll go through the states and then we'll talk about some stuff at the end that'll bring it all together for you. But on election night, the Georgia Secretary of State went ahead and said they were going to do a recount because the vote was so close, which now they're going back to do. And they've discovered more votes between 3 counties than were discovered in the entire state of Florida when I did a recount in 2000. I want to say in Florida it was around 1,300 votes. Well, they found 2,600 in one county alone in Georgia. So what does that say if you extrapolate it over 159 counties? Is it mismanagement? Is it bad personnel? Is it willful negligence? Or is it a desire to give the election to somebody else? I don't know. That's why they have investigations. But they're saying that the full data from their recount should be available Thursday. We'll see if that happens, and if it does, we'll take a look at it and see what we find. Pennsylvania. Although a lot of what the lawsuits filed by the Trump campaign and individual voters and individual Republican organizations have been thrown out, some are still pending. And one of the big things they're going to find going through Pennsylvania, and we'll talk about it again when we talk about Bush v. Gore, is some counties treated voters' ability to cure ballots different than others. And curing a ballot is they missed a signature, or the date wasn't in the right place, or it's mistakes on the ballot where the voter can go back and fix it. But some counties were informing them, and they allegedly have proof through text messages that this happened in certain counties, but not in other ones, which plays into the Bush v. Gore decision about Florida. Now we'll move on to Michigan, where at one point the county surrounding Detroit had refused to certify the election. It was a vote 2-2, long party lines. After 2 hours of alleged harassment of the 2 Republicans that voted against certifying it, they went ahead and voted to certify it if the Secretary of State would authorize an audit of the votes. Now, the reason for that is 71% of the polling sites, their poll book did not match the votes. 71%. This isn't I don't know what their room for error was. To me, the zone for error in a case like this would be 3 to 5%. That's understandable to me. But 71%, and you're still going to certify the vote. Now, I understand the alleged harassment. I have not personally seen proof of any of it. That's why I'm going to say it's alleged. But I also understand as a father that when people start throwing threats out there and accusations at you about what you are and what you believe, and they start bringing your family into it, that yeah, you may change your mind. And maybe in your mind, to protect your family, using the audit as a chance to fix what was broken is the best solution you can come up with. I get that. I don't agree with it completely, but I get it. Now, Wisconsin. We had the issue in the one county, which was a difference of 6,000 votes with the Dominion voting software. The same software that's used in 28 states. The same software that the state of Texas said was not secure enough to use in their vote. The same software that 3 Democrat senators and 1 representative wrote a letter about in 2019. That's not secure. There's issues with it. There's glitches in the vote counting. Now, with that being said, do we need to go back and hand recount 28 states? No, I don't think that's the answer, because I don't know off the top of my head. I don't have the diagram pulled up in front of me, but you can look it up online. In fact, I'll actually add it to this video to their website with which states use it. But to be honest, I've paid attention to politics long enough to know that there's no need for a hand recount in California or New York or Illinois. Because yes, Donald Trump may gain some votes there, but he's still not going to win the state. They are blue through and through, and that is not going to change. So it may change vote totals, but he's still not going to come up with enough to win those states. Now, you still have the allegations in Nevada that people that weren't qualified to vote voted, and they're investigating some of those. There's a lot of stuff going on, but once again, I'll go back to the investigations have to be done. If we're having more problems in this election than in any other election in my lifetime, then we need to get to the bottom of it before the midterms in 2022. And 2, both candidates should want this to happen. They should be joined together, because if nothing changes and Joe Biden becomes the elected president, 71 million voters are going to think he stole the election. So why not go through with these recounts? Go through with these investigations. And then we know when the vote is certified that it's true. And when he takes the podium and swears his oath, that everything is above board. And oh, by the way, when we identify these issues, that gives us a chance to fix them as a country before the midterms in 2022. Now, Bush v. Gore and how that fits. The Supreme Court decision of Bush v. Gore was ultimately decided under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And that stated that votes have to be treated the same in every single county. Well, in Pennsylvania, this is being called into question because the county around Philadelphia and the county around Pittsburgh, I don't remember off the top of my head what the names of them are, but they gave voters a chance to cure their votes and let them know there's a problem with their votes, which isn't within state law. And it's not within the approved policy and regulation that their voting commission has set. So what that means is voters in 2 counties got treated differently than the rest of the state. So I have not sat for the bar in any state. I still have a year before I'm a graduate of law school. But what it says to me from a common sense standpoint is the Supreme Court decided in Bush v. Gore that all voters have to be treated the same and all ballots have to be treated the same. So the fact that 2 counties took it upon themselves to deviate from the standard followed by the rest of the states is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. That being the case, what does that mean for those votes in Pennsylvania? Are those 2 counties thrown out? Is there an injunction that stops Pennsylvania from certifying their vote? I don't know. If it comes to that in enough states, either through hand recounts or injunctions to stop them from certifying their votes on December 14th, then it ends up going to a contingent election. That being the case, the House of Representatives will decide who the next president is. I really don't want it to come to that, although that is a contingency. And I don't want it to come to that because no matter what happens in that case, it's going to be ugly in this country. People are going to take to the streets like they did prior to the election, and it'll be ugly. Just look at the march a couple of days ago in Washington, D.C. And I'm not going to point a finger at anybody about who started the violence, You can watch the videos and come to your own conclusion on that. I'm not even going to go into the allegations. I just know there was violence. And I think the problem in our country is this political violence and senseless violence. It gets us nowhere. It pushes us farther apart instead of closer together as a country. We need to unify. And I go back to what I've said before. I think the first step in that reunification process is Joe Biden and Donald Trump, regardless of who wins, on a stage with masks on because of COVID. And the one that loses shakes the hand of the winner and concedes publicly on national TV as a show of unity. And start coming back together. The extremes on both sides of these parties is destroying our country. We have to come together to stop this. Now, as far as conspiracies, yes, I do listen to and read conspiracy theories because I think most of them are hilarious. In fact, if I look at my time in the military and some of the things there's conspiracy theories about that I was there, I really find them entertaining. But I don't believe them for one key reason. Not enough people can keep their mouth shut, honestly. Not enough people can keep a secret for these things to go on for as long as people say they do. The crypto watermark on ballots, well, I'm going to tell you the flaw in your theory. Unless there's a new version of the White House plumbers, and if you don't know who the White House plumbers are, Google it. It's actually a pretty interesting story. It speaks negatively about politics in general with what people stoop to, but it's a pretty interesting story. States print their own ballots. The federal government doesn't print all the ballots. So how can you ensure that that crypto watermark is on the ballots in every single state? You would have to have infiltrated the elections commissions or election boards or whatever it's called state by state, because it varies. But you would have had to have somebody that got inside those to have the paper with that crypto watermark. So whoever believes that, you know, don't bother to subscribe, like, and share. Just go watch somebody else's channel, please. We're not doing tinfoil hat stuff here. Now, there's another theory. I'm going to read you the definition of it because I think it, and I'm going to read you the exact definition because I think it does make sense in this situation. The standalone complex is a phenomenon where unrelated individuals act in a similar manner, which creates the appearance of a concerted effort. As in, someone mentions something or does something that attracts the attention of others. I don't think it's an overriding conspiracy. I think worst case, it is a standalone complex. Because there's allegations out there that people, individuals, did do this. Now, we do our investigations. A third party comes in and checks the coding on a Dominion software. I understand it's proprietary, but you have a neutral third party come in and check the code. They can sign an NDA, and actually after this year, I'm not sure how many places are going to want to use your software anyway. But maybe if that third party comes in and verifies it, nope, it's just they missed one update and that's why it happened, then maybe people will have faith in your software again. Because as of now, I, as a U.S. citizen, don't. In fact, I would protest its use in any state. As a current resident of Missouri, I think we need to get rid of it. Now, with that being said, form your own opinion. Don't give in to conspiracy theories. But be patient, be safe, and we're going to be waiting out some stuff for this election until we figure out what happened. But we have to investigate it. We have to do the due diligence to ensure whoever is on that podium on January 20th is the duly elected president of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. That's really the best thing you could do for me. I have a Patreon that I'm working on right now. I added my tiers, and I'm going to start putting more content on there. If you dislike what I'm saying, hit dislike. Tell me why in the comments and we can talk about it. But most of all, just question what you're being told by the media. Question what you're being told by your leaders. If you ever notice the articles I use, it's rarely from the same source over and over again. And generally, I try to find opposing sources, like using NPR about something positive or negative that Donald Trump did, compared to Fox News, just along those lines. Just so you get a varying opinions. That's the only way you can truly grow. But if you like what I have to say, like, subscribe, share with your friends. That's the best thing you can do to help the channel keep growing. If you dislike, hit dislike and tell me why in the comments. With that, everybody have a good evening.